Welcome back, superstars. My name is Aaron. I'm the world champion of bog snorkeling, and this is the SuperPod Saga. Thanks again for joining us. I'm your host, Aaron, and for any of your first-time listeners, this is the podcast where each week I invite some awesome guests to talk with me about a different video game topic. And when we're done discussing, we'll dress in our Sunday best, and we'll head on down to Red Lobster to celebrate the Lord's Day, Lobster Fest.
Ooh,
Some
get those
cheddar biscuits.
Joining
You got the
me,
right people for snacks.
Yeah, dude. Joining me for some delicious Red Lobster is I've got both Andrew and Keith of Game Pass Grab Bag. How are you, dudes?
Hey, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Doing well. Glad to be here.
So yeah, I'm glad to have you guys on. What's for the listeners? Tell them all about yourselves, your show, and games you like, or anything else you'd like to share with them.
I guess I'll take this
You,
away.
you get it. You do the intro every week, Andrew. This is on you.
All right, yeah. So me and Keith, we are two of the three members of Game Pass Grab Bag. We're a weekly podcast. We come out every Wednesday. Anywhere you get your podcasts, even on YouTube, we have our audio there. But we are essentially a Game Pass podcast. You know, we pick a game at random. Sometimes it's listener request. Sometimes what we're feeling, and we basically do a deep dive. Oh, my mic's falling over. A deep dive of how the game is. You know, we break it down of, is this a game or pass at the beginning of an episode? Just a quick breakdown of, you know, was this worth your time? Should you check this game out? And then obviously we break down everything of the story, gameplay, you know, graphics, audio, achievements. We go through all that stuff. But me, I am a hardcore gamer. Keith here is a moderate gamer who can't quite figure it out. And then we're joined by our third co-host, which is my wife, who is the noob. Even though we've been doing this for 5 years, people always ask, you know, is she still a noob? And 100%, she is still a noob. If you listen to our episodes, she still just doesn't care for video games, but she loves doing the podcast, and she does a really good job with it. She always does her homework.
Nice.
You know, I still constantly have to keep teaching her things, but you know, we all obviously, the whole purpose of our podcast is we're three very different perspectives. For me, like, I love, you know, management games. I love RPGs. I love a game with a really good story. Keith here, as you could probably figure out with this topic, loves really simple roguelike games. I guess you can explain, Keith.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was never all the series. I don't dive deep into the news. I'm not on top of everything. I just play what I play. What was it? Your brother said it best to me last night. I could play a AAA, you know, absolute masterpiece of a video game, and it's all fine and well. I appreciate it, but you give me a simple, quick 30 minutes of bullet hell and fast-paced fun, and that's all I need. I really don't. I'm a very simple gamer, but I will play anything, and I've been playing games since I was, I don't know, goodness, as long as I can remember, and I've been on this world a long time. So yeah, I'm definitely a long time gamer, but I just am not good at it still.
That's all right, man. Yeah, I enjoy me a good roguelike too. When back when Tommy was on this show, he would talk about like the deep stories behind games and like character arcs and stuff like that, and I'd just be like, "Oh, yeah, but have you played Enter the Gungeon for like 75 hours?" Yeah, I'm a huge fan of games that you can just pick up and play at any time and spend like a couple hours on, and I do love a good like story based game. Like I used to be really into JRPGs, but kind of fallen off of those,
I know
sadly.
when you get older, it's just harder to find the time.
It is, man. And sometimes I just want to kick ass. I don't want to sit through a whole bunch of dialogue, man. I don't know what's wrong with me anymore.
And that's why roguelikes have gotten so popular.
Yeah, that's exactly why, yeah. Roguelikes, you just hop right the hell in and you're ready to go. And yeah, that's what our topic is today. We're talking all about roguelikes.
I apologize to your listeners that you guys have already done this. But yeah, when you were like, you know, topic revisited, and it's like, well, me and Keith know roguelikes. We've been playing a lot of them.
Yeah, if we haven't done an episode on it, I've probably at least touched it, at least when it's on Game Pass, especially a free one. I'm pretty much going to play it every single time. So I have a deep collection of them. Whether they're all good or not, that's another question.
They're all good. They're all good, man.
Every week we're like, all right, Keith, we're playing this, big game. And then I always see Keith, he finds a roguelike on Game Pass and he's playing that. So it's like, all right, I guess we're switching the game to that. So at this point, though, I think we've touched just about every roguelike that it was ever graced Game Pass.
Yeah, there's been a good bunch that have been on there so far. We'll get into some of those good ones here in a little bit. But if any of you listeners want to listen to either, I guess, like the part 1 or like the original version of this episode, back in February of 2023. Wow, that was almost a year ago. That's insane. It feels like I just did that yesterday. It's wild.
I mean, that's how I feel when I was going through our back catalog, because it's like, man, what was the roguelikes we played? And I'm just like, God, we did that in 2022. Like, geez, like that feels like it was yesterday.
It does, man. That's so insane. Let's start off with the Discord Q&A for this segment of the show. I just asked Discord server a question related to the topic, and we'll hear what they have to say, and then we'll get to our picks. But first one, Distorted Rules. He says Binding of Isaac, and holy shit, yeah, that's a good one. I know Distorted Rules personally. He's a really good friend of mine, and yeah, he has put, I want to say, fucking like 500 hours into Binding of Isaac.
By golly, that makes me feel so much better about my Brotato hours. So we'll get to that at some point. So, it's funny because we were open this up and I'm like, I'm the biggest roguelike guy of them all. It's what I do. It's what I love. I have never played Binding of Isaac. And every time I've talked to somebody who's even knows what a roguelike is, they're like, oh yeah, Binding of Isaac. I'm like,
you need to.
Nope.
It's on everything.
It's on my list. I've got to play it.
You do, man.
Admittedly, maybe I'm not. This is where I'm not like the true gamer that I say that I am. In every aspect, I fail, right? Like,
oh, it's okay. You didn't fail. There's a lot that I haven't played. I think I haven't played. A lot of people really love FTL, but I've never played it because it just seems like a lot. Like
so that's actually gonna be one of the games I'm gonna mention.
Yeah, that one.
You mentioned it last episode. I was just like, how have you guys not touched FTL?
Oh man. Next up is Hocham. He says Slay the Spire. Obvious. Don't need to get into why this jump started my love of card game roguelikes. But a game that came out a few months ago is Against the Storm, and I really enjoy how each little city settlement feels like a new experience.
Yeah.
And you can't try and force the same strategy as the previous time. It definitely rewards flexibility, which I like.
That's a cool game. That's on Game Pass PC.
Was that free to play at some point? Because I feel like I played that.
I think it's still in preview, PC. But it's really cool because it's like part city builder management and roguelike. So it's a really interesting twist.
Yeah,
that's really awesome.
I have to go back to that because my computer was actually able to run it, and I only played maybe 45 minutes to an hour of it. But yeah, now that you say that, I'm gonna have to go back to that. That was a good one.
Hell yeah. Internet Trey, he says Rogue Legacy is the first one that really hooked me and got me to eventually go backwards to Igarashi's Castlevanias over time, as well as the Stone Cold classic Bloodstained. Hell yeah, I could see the resemblance between Rogue Legacy and some Igavanias. Yeah. Rogue Legacy is so fucking good.
That is a very good one. That's one of my early roguelikes too.
Same, man. I picked that up on Xbox One, I think, back in the day for like, I think it was on sale for $3.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was such a good buy for $3, dude. I put so many hours into that game. I still haven't. I think I've only ever beaten two of the 5 bosses or something though.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, but that's a really good one. It's really kind of simple, but yeah, if you are into style of like the 2D Metroid games, Metroidvania style,
yeah,
like those are kind of it.
That's really fucking awesome. I'm gonna butcher the name. Wumbo Poixort. he says Rogue, Sheeran the Wanderer 2, and Balatro. Hell yeah. Okay, so I guess I'm not a real gamer because I've never played Rogue, but I guess that was from like what, the 80s or something.
That is, I
I
think
think that was the thing that started the genre.
yeah, I
From what I
think
remember.
effectively.
Yeah, and then which one is Sharon the Wanderer 2? Is that?
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one either.
I
No,
don't think
that
that one.
doesn't sound
Oh,
familiar. Let's say
that was.
I have Rogue Legacy.
Oh, that was the N64 one. Okay, yeah. And then you have Balatro. Good stuff. We'll get to that later, I'm sure.
Yep.
Judge Bread, he says, Plate Up has consumed my wife and brother-in-law. Also want to give a shout out to Space Lines from the Far Out for somehow turning a space airline manager into a roguelike.
Thank you. See, Andrew, I was trying to tell him. He's like, well, it's not really a roguelike, and it might not be fully in some ways, but I don't think we gave it enough shot, at least when we tried playing it the one time we did.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. Played Up, I was actually going to put on my list too. That's currently on Game Pass too. It's Overcooked meets roguelike.
God,
So it's kind of an interesting
multiplayer
combination
on that, right?
Say that again, Keith.
And you can play multiplayer on it, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's 4-player.
Nice. Yeah,
God.
that was another one after you mentioned it. I played, I think probably the first 4 or 5 levels or so, or like 4 or 5 runs, I guess I should say.
It's definitely not as snappy as Overcooked. Like Overcooked, the controls aren't as like precise as they are compared to Overcooked, but it's a nice combination.
No, and even in the roguelike kind of overall genre, it doesn't have your traditional, like you're not fighting, but it has all of the elements of the procedural generation and stuff. So I agree that it's in the genre. I wouldn't argue that, but it tends to be like slower paced in a way because it's Overcooked style game. But it is a lot of fun, and I would definitely go back to it. I think definitely more as a multiplayer than single player, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I need to play that one. That's been on my Steam wish list for a really long time. Next one, The Cthusiast Jeff. I've only played once, and that was Hades and FTL. Both are amazing games. One more than the other. Aaron should know which. I will say I'm interested in Have a Nice Death. Yep, Cthusiast Jeff is a really big fan of Hades, which understandable. Hades.
Yeah, Hades is so good. Because I'm like I said, I'm a sucker for a story, and it's very rare to get a roguelike with a really good story. And Hades actually has a really good story.
I mean, now that it's off Game Pass, I think is it Netflix Gaming that offers it?
Yeah, Netflix Gaming has it.
I'm like, I should take advantage of that and absolutely just be playing Hades on my phone.
Dude, and Netflix Games also has Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon and Into the Breach, which are both on my fucking list.
Dang.
Yeah.
Those are both.
It's a decent list of games.
Yeah, dude. Super good.
Way to go, Netflix.
Nomad Retro Wildlands. He says Rogue Legacy, baby. It's 2 for Rogue Legacy.
But no one said Rogue Legacy 2 yet.
Oh, yes. Isn't that only on like PS5 and PC though?
Possibly.
It's like.
I don't know if it's on Xbox, but I know it came out like a year ago. But that's the thing. I actually haven't heard many people talk about Rogue Legacy 2. I'm curious if it just isn't as good as the first, or the first just like it's just good enough that you might as well stick with the first one.
Oh yeah, it is on everything. I remember when it came out, a lot of people like they really loved it. Like those that did play it really loved it, saying that it definitely went above and beyond what the first one put down. But yeah, ever since it did come out, like I haven't heard anybody say a goddamn thing about it. I don't think it was on anybody's like Game of the Year list.
Yeah,
in 2020. Holy shit.
Yeah, I bought the first one and I played, I don't know, a couple hours. It's hard from what I recall. It didn't draw me in as much as I wanted it to. It's got some really neat elements to it, like the whole, Descendants aspect of it. But yeah, I never got too far into it.
Oh man, I want to read you guys this Google review for Rogue Legacy 2. Jeff Lucy, his review says, if you want to get yelled at by your girlfriend for not paying attention to her, reprimanded at work for being late, or want to simply make hours go by in what seems like minutes, then you found just the thing. This game is highly addictive and you will love every second of it. And there's a lot more basically saying the same thing, but
okay, so
thanks, Jeff.
I guess Rogue Legacy 2 is still a good game.
Yeah.
it's just odd. Maybe it's just because there was also like no marketing at all. Like I never heard,
That's true.
I didn't know there was a sequel in development. And then like, yeah, one day on Steam, it's like Roguelikes C2's out. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess there's
Yeah.
a second one now.
Well, thanks for that.
Jenny says, I really enjoyed Across the Obelisk, and I have never heard of this one before, so
I
I
haven't
straight up
either.
asked her, like, what's that like? And she says, it's a co-op deck builder game. It's fun solo and with a partner.
Ooh.
It basically, it looked like a mix of Darkest Dungeon and Slay the Spire, and sounds pretty cool.
Darkest Dungeon is another really hard one.
It's very hard, yeah.
Yeah, that one I haven't gotten very far in because I tend to just get really, really mad at it and then just stop playing it and uninstall it for a little while. Jake from Game Corp, he says, Against the Storm. Another one for Against the Storm. It's
Nice.
a base building roguelike that has you adapt to random environments, juggle settlement needs, and solve random crises as they unfold, all while racing against the growing impatience of your queen. Hell yeah. Another one for that. Next one, Adam, Revival and Extinction. He says, I've actually had a really fun time with Brotato recently. He gives a good balance.
Brotato's great.
It's a good balance of movement around the map, coupled with weapon availability and proficiency. The enemies are a bit on the generic side, but you have 20 levels to equip yourself with up to 4 different weapons and a bunch of utility items. And there's a heap of different characters, each with their own advantages and disadvantages, so it adds a heap of variety to the game.
We just had a Brotato episode we just released today. Keith is gonna talk plenty about that game this episode.
I do love it. But
that's one I've been meaning to play. Like, it came out on Game Pass around the time when I was desperately trying to beat Persona 3 Reload, but I've given up on Persona 3. I don't know what it is about Persona. I just can't get into them. But I'm sure I'll get into Brotato though. Just you watch.
It's got hooks, man.
It does.
It'll get you. Or should I say, it's got roots.
Roots. Oh boy.
It's a good one, Keith.
Saint Lemon, he says, Children of Morta, the pixelation really makes this one shine and has a fun leveling up system that pertains to one or all family members. A great story. There's only the narrator delivering the story. Very relaxing.
Yeah, I forgot about Children of Morta. We did that one too.
I had Children of Morta on my list as a if I need
honorable mention.
Yeah, like if I was falling short on numbers here, I had it listed. Because I was thinking back on it, like it was a long time ago, and I want to say it was one of the earlier roguelikes that we played. And so in some ways I would say it probably was an attributing game that built my love of roguelikes. Because I didn't play them as much before the podcast, but I've over the years that's where my love has really come through.
And they've added a lot of shit to that game too. Like they've added a ton of different weapons, and they had that, I think, $10 expansion with it too or something.
I was looking at it the other day, actually. Because I had some credits to spend on the Xbox store, the Microsoft store, and I was thinking about that, and I think it was Balatro that I ended up going with instead.
Nice. Yeah. Let's see.
Probably a better pick.
Yeah.
He also says, Returnal. This roguelike is very fun, very different, and very dark. The graphics are amazing, the soundtrack is phenomenal, and the story is really well done. When you die, you have to restart, but you get checkpoints to help you advance without doing the sections over and over and over again. Enter the Gungeon. Very silly, very cool roguelike, so many guns, relics, and synergies. You can get a gun that shoots peas or a sword that shoots beams like Link's Master Sword. There's fun bosses and secret rooms you can do if you collect enough resources. Each character has 2 stories, so replayability is really high, great soundtrack, fun dungeon layouts, and the enemies are well designed. There's another one I have called Rad. Oh man, it's top-down post-apocalyptic roguelike where you play as kids who got cool melee weapons and gain new abilities by taking radiation poisoning. I didn't make it too far in this one, but its art is really cool, and you get multiple characters to play as to change up your style. And that's the last one. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, I liked Enter the Gungeon a lot. I know the last episode I think you guys didn't care for it as much, but I was like, Enter the Gungeon is actually a ton of fun.
I think I'd like to revisit Enter the Gungeon because I don't remember loving it as much as I feel like I would have. But at the same time, I don't know.
Which I think is odd because I think me and Liz loved it, and it's a good co-op game.
Yeah, and I don't recall hating it. I just there's something about the the twin stick aspect of it that I don't care for.
I'm just really
And
bad at it. Really.
that could also be a large contributing factor, if I'm honest.
I've had that game on my Switch since I think like I want to say 2018 maybe. Whenever it came out on Switch was the day that I bought it. Basically, I've had it since it came out on Switch, and I've never, ever, ever completed a run because I always get really, really far, and then I fucking die to a boss or something stupid. Um,
Yeah, the
but
bosses are tough.
it's fun though. It's really, really cool. Like I like the
Yeah.
weapons. I like the characters. It's just brutal.
Yeah, a lot of roguelikes. Like that was the ones I was like kind of putting on my list where I'm like, I don't know if I want to mention it because I hate how difficult this one is. But
Oh yeah.
that's maybe what some people want. Some people love that brutal, hard roguelike.
You know what? First one we're going to start with. I'm going to blast right out of the gate with Wildfrost. Have you guys played Wildfrost?
No, I remember you guys talked about this. I think this was I listened to this episode. I think it was your like end of year like awards.
Yeah.
And I remember you mentioned it that it was like your favorite game, and I looked it up and I really wanted to pick it up because it looked awesome.
It's fun, man. It's got such a cool little art style to it. It reminds me of like regular show and Adventure Time, all those kinds of games with that goofy art style.
That's
Um,
awesome.
it's a little bit like a deck builder meets like a strategy game in a way because like yeah, you build your deck of cards. You know, you've got your leader card, companion cards, and then your cards for like your attacks and like relics and stuff that you put on the field that give you passive abilities and stuff. And you can equip cards with different relics, like one that just increases attack, one that gives them what's called frenzy, which gives you multiple attacks or gives that card multiple attacks. But then there's different there's only 3 tribes in the game, but that kind of adds a lot of replayability to it because like the 3 different tribes have different cards that you can add to their deck. Like there's the snow folk, I think is what they're called, and they can inflict snow, which like freezes an enemy or whatever. Um, what else is there? Spice, which is like a temporary attack boost, and a bunch of other stuff. Uh, there's the Shade Mancers who can summon these little ghost dudes, and they're just like temporary allies. It's really cool.
Can you only pick one faction, or do you have like multiple and they have like synergy?
When you start a run, you can only pick you can pick one tribe, and then you can pick like 3 leaders out of that tribe to be your leader. And then yeah, whichever tribe you pick, you'll be kind of you'll get like generic cards as well as cards tied to that tribe as well too, at stores and stuff. And then yeah, you'll go along on this map and kind of like Slay the Spire. There will be like a store, an enemy encounter. Well, no, so it'll be like enemy encounter. Then you can do like 3 like beneficial things like store, which is where you can buy new cards and everything, or like get a new companion, or copy a card, or like destroy a card or something like that. And then you fight big, mean, like nasty bosses. Like the game is pretty goddamn difficult, and I haven't even gotten to the combat yet. So it's like a what 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. It's a 2x12 grid. So there's like three columns of 2 on your side and 3 columns of 2 on the enemy's side, and you put like your leader down first, and then your allies, and then you play a card to attack enemies, or you play.
Okay. That's
man,
all right. This makes sense. Did you? Sorry, I always wanted to ask. Did you ever play? So you mentioned it last time, but did you ever play Monster Train?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, because that's what it kind of sounds very similar to, like how the synergy works with it.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
like the different factions, and even almost the rotation, like it like varies slightly, I guess. But yeah, like the fight, and then you kind of have your little events, I guess, where you would buff and then go back into battle.
Yeah, gosh, I want to get this game.
Exactly.
It
sounds really it sounds fun. Like that's the style. Like because where it varies is the actual battle and the gameplay itself, and that's where it matters the most, right? Like, because a monster train, you have those different levels, but you don't. It sounds like this is all like just I don't know, one playing field, and you play back and forth that way. So that sounds cool, and I could be into that.
Yeah, and it's there's a lot to take in at first, because like rather than say like a turn, well, I guess it is turn based, kind of like each fuck, I guess, well, each like enemy or like character on your side, they'll have a timer on the bottom of their card, and when that timer goes to 0, they'll attack, or some don't attack, they'll heal or shit like that. So like it kind of, I guess maybe it's turn based. I guess that would be considered turn based. But yeah, it's brutal. But it's fun, and there's a lot of shit to unlock too. There's a lot of cool stuff you can unlock.
Gosh, yeah, this game looks awesome. This sounds right up my alley. Because like, yeah, when you first described it, I'm like, this kind of sounds like Monster Train. Yeah, I was like, at the end of the your last time you did roguelikes, and you guys mentioned Monster Train. It's like that game is. I loved Monster Train. That was such a good deck builder.
Very loud, very loud.
Oh yeah, I remember being very loud too.
Oh boy, yeah. Which one do you guys wants to go next?
I mean, this isn't actually on my list, but it popped up in my games list when I was going through, and I just have to make sure that people are aware that this game exists. There's a game called Boyfriend Dungeon. I don't know.
Oh, I know of that. That was on Game Pass, wasn't it?
I did. It was, and that's why I played it. And I didn't play mentally. It is not like even the combat is bad. It's a top down. It's really more of a dating sim than anything, and it's clunky.
Way to start off strong here, Keith. The recommendation. You're like, it's not good, but it's there.
I'm more just. I had to just make sure that people were aware that this game exists. They like within the first week that it got released, they had to either tone it back or immediately apologize, because there was just a lot of stuff in there. They're like, oh yeah, that's really cringy. But really though, I'm gonna start it off with Brotato.
Hell yeah.
So Andrew's gonna laugh at me still because I still haven't beat it.
Before this podcast, you were cursing about it.
Like, you guys talked a lot about Vampire Survivors a lot on the last one. Fantastic. And I think immediately off the gate, Brotato gets a lot of comparison to Vampire Survivors, and for fair reasons. It's a top-down auto shooter. You have 6 weapons, etc., but it varies so much. And one of the biggest ways is you have 40 characters, something like that, Andrew.
44.
Right? 44.
God damn, dude.
And they are so immensely varying, because one of the biggest things that I like about it is that while you have these immense characters, it really depends on your 6 weapons that you have, because you can just, have a synthesis, you can match them all up. They're all a variety, and there's a lot of different stats you can build throughout the game. It's all inter-run. There's nothing really else. You just unlock new pools outside of your runs. And the characters vary so much, but you have ones that just actually don't carry weapons. There's ones that only shoot when you're standing still. There's ones that carry 12 weapons or 1 weapon. And so they just make all these variations, and it makes every different character feel so different and refreshing that at my 180 hours and not 100% completion, I still mostly have a pretty fun time playing it, and I would have a much more fun time if I was playing the variation of characters, not the one stupid character that I can't beat it with. Stupid pacifist.
Oh, yeah, I put like a day and a half of playtime at F1000 the game, and I just love holding it over Keith's head.
What is it, 700 hours into Binding of Isaac? I have no shame. I didn't to begin with, and so I'm not shaming anyone either. For the record, I just.
That's fine, man. You said 180 in a Brotato?
Yeah, it's over 7 days, which I think that's where the math lies out, somewhere around 180 hours.
I mean, according to Xbox, it was 15 days and 7 hours, I think it said.
15
God damn.
I think so.
I thought it was only 17 days. I think you're adding time.
Oh, no, sorry. You're right. 7 days, 15 hours.
I say that's a huge variance, but
okay,
I'm pretty sure I'm right on this.
Right on, man.
I love it though. Brotato's so good though. I second that one too. I had a lot of fun with that.
Well,
It's
because
very
it's
addictive.
one of the things that it does so well too is that while the weapon builds are really a lot of fun, it has items or weapons, and then it has items, and you can build an infinite amount of items. So it's not a game that says, like Vampire Survivors, for example, you have your 6 small items that you can build, and they can either synthesize or not with your weapons. Or what is it, 8 items actually, I don't remember, something along those lines. But you're not limited on Brotato. You can have all of the items,
Yeah.
Good God.
and the items will, it'll give you 8% dodge but -1 armor, or it'll give you a full on bonus. It'll start giving you damage every second. There's just a variety of things that they'll do to you, but you can build all of them. And then once you start to get to a certain point, I guess good luck, because you probably don't remember what you have at that point.
Hell yeah. What was your first
All right.
one, Andrew?
So I'm going to go with, I know it's an older game and you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but I'm going to at least say FTL. So you mentioned obviously the studio they created Into the Breach. Into the Breach is a good one, but FTL, this was the game that got me to roguelikes. I absolutely love FTL because it is a spaceship management game. It's a bit of a choose your own adventure game. It has a pretty decent story, and just how the runs are done, and they vary so much. So you're obviously managing a ship, so you can pick your ship. There's pre-built ships of like different things. Oh, this one has more ballistic weapons, this one has more energy weapons, this one has drones. So there's just a ton of different types of ships. And then your crew varies depending on the alien species. You have some aliens that are really good at repairing, but they may suck at battle. You have some that are good at piloting, some that are good at melee combat. It is such a fun game. It was, like I said, the first one that got me to roguelikes. I highly recommend it on PC because you're going to be pausing a lot because, a missile just did a big old breach in your ship and now you're losing oxygen and you're trying to scramble some people over there to fix it while, you're trying to dodge lasers. It's simple, but also very complicated. It's just very kind of management of like trying to move your crew around, who's working at what substation. Are you going to send a boarding party over? If you can kill the crew of the other ship, you get more rewards. It's just, there's tons of different ships you can unlock. I love FTL. It's on you can get on PC, but also it's on tablets. It's unfortunately not on mobile phones, which kind of makes sense because I feel like it would just be too hard to click each substation on the phone. But yeah, if you have a tablet, it's on there. I highly recommend FTL. I put so many hours in that game.
Another thing that I really love about roguelikes is how much bang for your buck you get with these goddamn games. Like Brotato, you said you put like 180 hours into it. It's only like fucking $4.
Yeah.
FTL is only like $10. That's nuts.
Yeah,
I think.
it's well worth it. They've had a ton of free updates on it. It has so much content now.
God damn, maybe I do need to try FTL. Maybe I should just bite the bullet and try it. I'm sure it'll be on sale again sometime for pretty darn cheap.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think so much of them, and kind of like what you were saying, they end up in the indie category to a certain degree, that they end up being sort of cheap. And accessibility to them is another thing. Like Andrew was saying, yeah, it's limited on phones, but you can play it on tablet. Most games, even like Brotato, Vampire Survivor, they're all available on literally every device you could potentially play a game on. Phone, tablet, computer, console. Everything's got it. So they're accessible on every level, and I think that's another just really cool feature about it myself.
Hell yeah, just like this, just like my next pick that I'll never ever stop. I'll never stop talking about Dicey Dungeons. It's on every goddamn console. It's on phones, and it plays so well on phones, dude. Like it plays so smoothly on phones. You just drag and drop it in dice and ship.
I've wanted to check this one out. This one's on Game Pass too.
Is it still? I know it's been on there for a really long time.
It is, yeah. I actually, after listening to your episode, I was like, it wasn't one I dove far into, but I had played, and I was like, I'm gonna pick that up again. Probably played another, probably 45 minutes, like another one run, but it is a lot of fun. Yeah,
It's really really cool, man. Like first off, the art style is really awesome. It's just got like that like papery, like handmade, hand drawn look. The music is fucking banging. Like
Oh, I
it's
love a
one of
good
those.
soundtrack.
It's so good, dude. Like the little world maps that you come across, like the ice world map in particular, that one is just so chill and serene. The battle themes are all really good, but um, yeah. So there's I think 6 different characters you can play as, and they all play differently. So there's like the warrior, the thief, the robot, the witch, and the jester. And I feel like I'm forgetting one, the machinist or something like that. Yeah, there's different characters. They all play differently. Like the what you call the thief. Well, I guess, and depending on what chapter or like what chapter you're playing on for each character, they'll kind of behave differently too. So like at first, the warrior is just like the super basic one. You know, he his main ability is that what is it? You can just re-roll a die once per turn. But then he gets fucking insane in later chapters. Oh man, I forget what the fuck his stuff was. The witch is my favorite though. Her shit is just so fucking wacky. Instead of just like picking cards from different chests or like buying different cards, which the cards are your attacks. So it'll be like a broadsword or spatula or something like that, or like a shield, like a rusty shield. But the witch is different. Like she has like a spell book, and you can find spells in chests, and you can add them to your spell book, and then
I always love magic casters in any class, in any game.
I was intimidated from playing the witch because the way it lays them out is that like each of them had a difficulty rating to them, and the
yeah,
witch I think she was the rated as like a 5-star. So
yeah,
I was like, I don't know if I want to jump all the way that far, but that sounds like a lot of fun. So I
dude,
would dig
yeah,
that.
it's so good. And there's also, so I think each character has 7 chapters. I think 7 chapters, 5 or 7, I think. But then there's this like Halloween DLC pack that comes with the game for free, and it adds a bunch of extra. I think you only get to play as like 3 characters, but they play a lot differently in that too. And the enemies have different like silly, cute Halloween costumes on and shit. Um,
I liked the
and
character designs in general, just like the enemies. They were all like fun. Like I don't know, some of them were just kind of like ogres or whatever, but there was one of them I thought it was like a giant whale I was
yeah,
fighting or something like that.
this giant whale. There's like a guy that looks like the Doom guy. There's like jellyfish and shit like that. Uh, and then there's the reunion expansion DLC, again for free. It just comes with the fucking game,
I love
and
free LC.
yes, and it revamps the characters even more, so they play
Nice.
even more differently. So you get so much bang for your buck, so much fucking replayability with this game, and it's like what, $15, or if you have Game Pass, fucking free.
Yep.
Um, yeah, it's really really good. It plays really good on your phone as well too. So if you want to be hooked constantly nonstop on your
Ooh.
phone, you're on your phone. I think it's cheap on there too, actually. I think it's like maybe $5 on there.
You know, I don't want to derail our conversation, but do you remember the good old days where all apps you just paid like, 99
A buck.
cents,
Yeah.
even $5 and you just got them? I love a good free game on a phone, but don't get me there's just too many ads.
Yep.
Yeah. The ads get so egregious. But yeah, it's $5.
Like, it reminds me of the Sega Forever, I think, games, like the Sega games that they brought to mobile, but they had a shit ton of ads.
Yeah.
So weird.
I think it's so bad where it's like, you died. You want more lives? Watch an ad. And it's just like, all right, that's what I uninstall. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Watch this ad for Airbnb or like Duracell or something stupid.
Yep. That's what I'm out.
Oh man, is it Keith, it's your turn, right?
It is. So next on my list, I think it was you who was I saw on Twitter talking about it. I heard, if I recall, I don't remember who it was, but Balatro.
Yep.
I yeah, it's I so I'm still I don't know, I'm in a reasonable state of hours. I think I might have hit double digits at this point, but I don't know if I'm far into it if I have. But man, that is just a ton of fun.
Yeah, dude.
It's it like I was never any good at poker, but it's something that I used to play with my brother and like a bunch of friends. Like it was a thing we did, I don't know, for a while, and I always loved it. So I have a pretty good understanding of the game of poker as a whole, and I think that helps it. But I don't think you need to, because it definitely gives you a good explanation, and it, I don't want to say holds your hand, but it really does hold your hand. It doesn't make it overly difficult to understand what you need to do. And I love the design of it. And like I was joking about it earlier on, I don't know, one of the games we mentioned, the numbers and endorphins, and just watching the multipliers rack up as you start to like get a run that actually works. It's just like, you just feel unstoppable, and it's so much fun.
It's like that Jack Nicholson meme where he's just like as the multiplayer, or not multiplayer, as the multiplier racks up, he's like,
yes,
yep, like times 300, that's not enough.
Things
especially
are burning.
When you can get it to just like high card or a pair is the thing that works better than anything else in your hand, and you're and it just feels easy. Like one of the things I had read about the game as I started to be like, do I really want to buy this, was that they're like, when the run works, it feels broken, but broken in your favor. And I was like, man, that's what I like to hear. I think that's really what makes any roguelike really shine, at least for me, is that when you can get to a point where you're the god of the game and basically you have to want to quit to lose. That just makes it so much fun.
That's exactly the feeling, man. Not just like Balatro, but also Wildfrost and some of the other ones I'll mention too. Yeah, once you once you figure out a way to really break the game and like cheese the system, and you feel unstoppable, it's like, well, fuck, I don't want to stop. I don't want this to come to an end.
Yeah, it absolutely has it. So you've played it. I actually am curious a little bit of your strategy, because one of the things I was trying recently was to really heavily rely on, skipping the blinds, and you get the bonuses. But I don't know if I was kicking myself in the teeth, because you obviously give up money and like other perks. But I don't know what you tried the most.
I think it just depends on your situation. Like I'll usually just go with the blind, unless I just don't need money. Then I'll just skip the blind. But because some runs, if you have a certain combination of jokers and shit, you could just make an infinite amount of money pretty much. But yeah, I'd say only like skip the blind if you don't need money, or say if it's just like there's what was it? There's one joker that makes it so where like when you skip a card pack, it gains a little bit of multiplier.
Oh,
So maybe
yeah.
if you have that, and then you get like a tag where it's like, get a free like mega planet pack or whatever, you could just open the pack, skip it, and then add some to your multiplier or something.
Oh, that's how that works. I was like, because I was just thinking like, if I skipped buying it in the store, I'm like, well, that's easy.
That's what I thought too for the longest time.
Okay, so you have to open it and then skip the cards. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to try that, because one of the other things I was trying is, it was the achievement to beat a run. I think it's in under 12 rounds. So that's another reason I was also heavily relying on skipping blinds. I was just like, so what I would do, even at least, is I would start the first run kind of over and over again. And if the first two blind skips weren't worth it, it's like, nope, I'm going to start this over. Because obviously you can't see past the first ante, but it's like, I'm going to keep doing this. And it was never successful. I think the best I got to was like the fifth ante. And I thought I was doing so good. And then it kicked my ass. It said no.
And you mentioned the like the look of the game too. It's super cool. It's like you're staring into one of those like video poker machines, and like
Yes.
I mean, I've never been to Vegas or messed with like a video poker machine, but like it looks like what I assumed that would look like. I mean, I guess I've seen a few on Bar Rescue, so like sure, I
Love that
I
show.
know what it's
Shout
like.
out
to Bar Rescue.
yeah, John Tapper, if you're listening, I'd love to have you on SuperPod Saga.
Yeah, well, dude. I love that you mentioned the video poker too, because I think it actually adds like, well, there's literally no story to it. It is just, hey, here's poker. You're playing it on the screen. It almost adds an element of storytelling in a weird way, that you're playing on some weird hacked video poker machine. And it's just like, it's so broken that you can just do whatever you want, basically. So that's at least what I like to tell myself.
That really does, man. Yeah, I mean, you get the little jester guy kind of yucking at you the whole time, yapping hints and stuff at you. But
Hate him.
yeah, it
It's
does.
such a wild concept. Like, hey, poker and roguelike, put
I
this together. There you go.
I never would have
Never
thought of
think
it.
that. Yeah.
But I absolutely love the idea.
And it works, man. Shout out to Tales from the Backlog. Dave and Matt Storm and I talked about Balatro a little bit. Go listen to that, listeners, if you want to learn more about Balatro. Yeah, that was pretty good. But Andrew, what's your next one, man?
So my next one is Madden Football. No, I'm just joking.
You made fun of my boyfriend Dungeon. Okay.
I was very
Cool, Andrew.
confused.
Each run is called a season. You got to get better players. So like for me, like roguelikes. Well, this next one, I guess I'll give a shout out. This will be for our third co-host, my wife. This is always her favorite roguelike. She always ends up bringing this game up. I remember enjoying this game, but not as much as her. But that game is Void Bastards.
Ooh.
It came out, I think, like 5 years ago, but it's very cell shaded, very comic book esque. It has the whole like blam 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 when you're shooting a gun, like it shows that image of it. But the story is kind of interesting. Of you are these criminals on a like spaceship that's going to prison, but your ship broke down, and so you're essentially these criminals that are stuck in these like deep freezed like potato chip baskets, like you're reconstructed out of like, it's a very dark story, kind of how it is too. So you're reconstructed as these criminals, and they're basically like, yeah, hey, you got to fix a ship. Good luck. Here's a crappy pistol, and so you have to jump to different points. You can kind of see what you're going at, what kind of ships you're going to, but there's a whole lot of looting. There's a whole lot of shooting. You're fighting some freaky space monsters. Like I said, it's all kind of, it's a 3D world, but they're kind of 2D looking. It's very comic book style. But you're trying to loot things, and eventually, you get better guns with each run. And it's a little bit like Rogue Legacy 2, where each prisoner has weird, like, unique perks to them. I don't know if you call them perks, because some are kind of bad. Like, oh, this prisoner's a smoker, so every once in a while he'll start coughing. So if you're trying to do like a stealth run, you obviously don't want to do with that guy, because he'll just start coughing up, and then people will hear you. But it's really cool, because you also know when a bad guy's coming, like a really big guy's, because you'll see on the screen thump, thump, thump. And so you'll get like this big bad guy. It's a very fun game, but it's very dark and kind of twisted, of like you being prisoners. And
cool. It kind of has a story also, too.
Yeah.
Because there is an ending.
There is. And it's also not crazy hard, because my wife actually beat it. And the ending kind of was like made her kind of sad, but she still loved the game. But yeah, it's not a crazy hard roguelike to get into.
That reminds me of, this one wasn't on my list, but shout out to it anyway, RoboQuest. This one,
yes, that was on my list. I was going to mention that. I loved RoboQuest.
Yeah, that game was great. Awesome.
It's a good co-op one too.
Hell yeah.
But that's the same style. That one also has like kind of an art style of like guns saying the sound effects that they're doing. I loved RoboQuest. I got so many people in that game.
Nice, dude. Yeah, that one's so fucking fun. Oh man, I can't. Oh, I don't know which one I want to do next. Fuck it. Let's talk about World of Horror. That one, haven't talked about that game in a while now.
I don't know if I've heard of this one.
You have my ear.
Yeah, World of Horror. It's on I think it's only on Switch and Steam. I don't know for sure if it's on PlayStation or Xbox, but World of Horror is like, the art style is it's all black and white. It's like, I think they call it like 1-bit or something, or 2-bit or something like that.
I think I have seen this game. This game looked trippy.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of like the I forget, like the Junji Ito, like the manga that he draws, and it's got a lot of like Lovecraftian horror to it as well too. But you'll play as a different character going around this small Japanese town solving mysteries. Like you'll have all these different mysteries pinned up on your pin board in your room, and you'll pick one and go solve it. And the mysteries really just consist of going to one place, you hit a button to investigate, and it'll be like a little story segment and give you different choices. So it'll be like, you go to this place and you talk to this man and he says this, what do you do? And you can pick one of like 2, 3, or 4 choices. And
so it's like a choose your own adventure
basically, yeah.
Oh,
I couldn't think of that term for a second there, but yeah, basically like that. And then the the choices that you make very heavily affect the outcome of your run, like the story of the run and all that stuff. So like if you do one thing in this mystery, it'll affect what happens in like the next mystery, or it'll affect what happens later on in that same mystery. Like say you come across like a cat and you choose not to save it from whatever, that'll come to bite you in the ass maybe later on in in the story you're doing or something.
Who wouldn't save the cat? Come on.
I know, man. Sometimes you don't have the option to, and it's so sad. And the combat is fucking hardcore. You'll be like right up in this enemy's face, and you'll have all these different options. Like there's a shit ton of different things you can do during combat. Like you can look for an improvised weapon. You can prepare like a more powerful attack. You can kick the enemy, push them down, order an ally to attack them. There's all sorts of fucking shit you can do in combat. It's all based on like time and stamina and stuff like that. It's a really interesting game. It's there's a lot of unlockables again, which always tickles my fancies. It's super dark, super eerie, creepy, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I googled it here, and like as you were talking, I have like on silent just watching videos that are playing on Steam of it, and holy crap, this is like nightmare fuel.
Yeah,
I mean the game's called World of Horror.
Well, yeah, but it's like low. It's low. I mean, I guess that explains the one bit, like super low graphic. Looks like it's running on almost like an old original
MS-DOS.
Elementary school Macintosh computer is what it looks like it's running on.
Yeah, dude.
Some sort of like The Ring type of thing. Like you found it on a disc somewhere. Like what? This I think is probably on your list, Andrew. Not is Inscription, right? Like that's kind of how that game starts. It's something to do with the disc. Feels like this could come out of that, but looks terrifying.
It's awesome though, man. The combat is a lot at times, but I mean, I guess all the options they give you in combat really add to like, I guess the amount of strategy that you have to try and defeat enemies. Because sometimes it feels really one sided, but like there's a lot of things you can do to push the combat in your favor. It's awesome. Before we get to Keith next, should we take an ad break?
Sure, I'll allow it.
Yeah, you gotta.
What if we said no? Would you not do an ad break?
Yeah, I'd fucking skip it. No, I'm just kidding. I'd go without you. Okay, we'll be right back.
Hey baby, I hear the blues are calling. Toss salads and scrambled eggs. Wait.
This episode was brought to you today by our wonderful, generous, dazzling patrons: A Novel Console, Jared Schrader, Jameson Empire, Adam Phineas, Trey, Adam Revival and Extinction Podcast, Jeff Miners, Jenny E, Kevin Demo, and Thrak. All of you are superstars, and I can't thank you enough. I cannot thank you enough. I mean that. With your support, I've been able to make every part of SuperPod Saga so much better. I really greatly appreciate your current and future support, and I just hope all of you are rewarded in some big cosmic karmic way. So yeah, thank you a lot.
Stylish. And maybe I seem a bit confused. Yeah, maybe, but I got you pegged. Ha!
If you're a fan of coffee and you're looking for something different, I think we've got just the thing for you. That's Bones Coffee. Bones Coffee is not your usual coffee company. Of course, it's all sugar-free, gluten-free, all that stuff, because it's just coffee, nothing added to it. But they roast each batch of coffee beans to your order, and they've got just a bazillion different flavors to choose from. They've got your usual French vanilla, salted caramel, they've got Irish cream, of course they've got decaf, single origin coffees like Kenya, Guatemala, stuff like that, even what they call high voltage, which is extra strength, extra caffeine. But they have all sorts of other awesome kind of out of the box flavors. They've got ones like cotton candy, maple bacon, and even mint chocolate chip ice cream. And they're always coming up with new crossover flavors, like they've done a bunch for Nightmare Before Christmas. Indiana Jones, even Spider-Man, of all things. And they're also coming up with new seasonal flavors all the time. If this sounds right up your alley, feel free to use the link in our episode description and use coupon code SuperPod Saga at checkout to get 20% off your order. That's SuperPodSaga at checkout to get 20% off your order. And if you're not just in the market for coffee, you can also get some sweet mugs. They've got lots of cool shirts. They've got all sorts of different brewing equipment like French presses, stuff like that. Just head on over to bonescoffee.com, or again, use the link in our episode description and get 20% off. Get yourself a new interesting flavor and spice up your morning routine with Bones Coffee. I really hope you enjoy. I'm a really big fan of it, and I hope you find one that really hooks you. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good one.
But I don't know what to do with those tossed salads and scrambled eggs.
It's really important to stay hydrated. They say to drink 8 to 10 cups of water per day to stay properly hydrated, but sometimes that can be difficult to do and completely inconvenient, and most of us don't feel like carrying a gallon of water with us at all times. But that's where Liquid IV comes in. Liquid IV is the category-winning hydration brand fueling your well-being, and their hydration multiplier is the one product you're missing in your daily routine. In just one stick, you get 5 essential vitamins and 2 times faster hydration than water alone. Use it first thing in the morning, before a workout, when you feel run down, after a long night out, or on long flights. Man, in Iowa, the summers can be brutal. 90 degrees and tons of humidity, and that just saps the energy and water right out of your system within just a few minutes. Luckily, Liquid IV hydrates 2 times faster than water alone, with 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks. It's very important to replace those electrolytes, you know? And I just love how quick and easy it is to use Liquid IV. You just get 1 packet and a bottle of water, and you just pour that packet into the bottle of water, shake the heck out of it, and bam, you are good to go. Since using Liquid IV, I've felt way more alert, active, and just plain better versus drinking water alone. My favorite flavors to go to are the Yuzu Pineapple Energy Multiplier and the Tropical Punch Hydration Multiplier. I can't get enough of those ones. And what makes them even better is, like I mentioned earlier, they're packed with 5 essential vitamins like B3, B5, B6, B12, and vitamin C. And again, 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks. And they're non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy, which is just great. So you can get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code SuperPodSaga at checkout. That's 20% off anything when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code SuperPodSaga, SuperPodSaga at liquidiv.com. You have a great one, superstars.
They're calling again. Scrambled eggs all over my face.
Hey, platypuses, right? They're part duck, part beaver. Weird as shit, right? But like, where do they all come from? Introducing Crazy Ivan's Platypus Ranch. You can head on down to Crazy Ivan's today, and well, no, you don't go to a ranch. Crazy Ivan's.
It's like their eggs is what they're born in, which is so hatchery.
Are they really?
Yeah,
I guess
they're born out of eggs. It's like the only mammal that's like born out of an egg or something like that. That's like another weird thing about them.
Well, fuck yeah. Crazy Ivan's Platypus Hatchery. Sorry, they breed only the purest breed of platypuses with the finest genetic traits like smooth tails and bills and shit. I don't know what platypuses do, man. And
I love getting my platypussies down at Ivan's hatchery. Is that plural for them?
I hope so. I don't know. I think it's platypus. No, platypussies. I don't know, man.
Platypusi?
Is that better?
Oh man, and yeah, they're bred for the food industry, I guess. For like the highest caliber of 5-star restaurants. They're what's the word? Open field? No, it's not open field.
The creek?
No,
Bog?
they're free range. They're free range platypuses, and they're free range platypuses. They feed. Do platypuses eat? What do they eat? They eat grass?
Really?
I don't know. No, because they have bills. Baby bugs? Yeah, let's go with bugs.
I'm gonna look it up. What do platypus eat?
They'll eat whatever you want them to eat. You can train them.
That's true. Yeah, our Crazy Ivan's platypuses, they're carnivorous. They'll eat whatever's put in their path. Well, omnivorous, I should. They'll eat whatever's put in their path. You can throw an apple down. You could throw down I don't know, a kitten. No, that's too dark. No.
I have a moat with 10 guarding my house right now, so
they're
great for security.
That's a great platypus moat. That's adorable.
Do you want to milk a platypus? Well, you can't do it here because our platypuses are nippleless. As all nipple.
For more aerodynamic swimming.
Yeah, for the more aerodynamic for guarding your property. Do you imagine sneaking up on someone's like estate, like their mansion, their $1 million mansion?
And they scream, nippleless platypuses.
They're like, get him! And then like all these platypuses are slowly walking toward you, or like waddling, or whatever they do. They're like, whack, or whatever the fuck sound they make.
And if you go to Crazy Ivan, just tell him to put it on your bill.
Thanks, Crazy Ivan.
Don't forget to stop on our infirmary on your way out from the scratches that may be causing some sort of infliction. We don't know what it is. We don't know how to fix it. But our infirmary will check you out.
They'll probably give you a vaccine.
Yeah, like you have you contract platypus flu or something.
Yeah, they produce venom. I don't.
What?
I haven't figured out all of what it does, but they actually do produce a venom.
What the fuck?
Primarily during the mating season.
This is a joke animal that was made in a lab or something.
This really is. This is like something you'd make in Spore.
It's described as extremely painful, but not lethal to humans.
It can bite.
That's why they're in my moat.
It's in their hind legs, primarily during the mating season. So yeah, it's when they get horny. They get, I don't know, venomous.
When they get horny, they get venomous.
These really are joke animals, man.
I don't know how to work that into more of a joke. It's just you kind of just read it and it is what it is.
Just read platypus facts and it's a joke in itself.
Carfax, platypus facts. How many people has my platypus killed?
Well, luckily Crazy Ivan has that information for you.
Just say, show me the platypus. Show me the puss facts.
But seriously, don't Google that.
Yeah, don't.
Please do not Google puss facts.
What is a boy to do? Frazier has left the building.
We're back, by the way. Wait, hold on. We are back, but like I just found a video on YouTube that apparently platypuses glow in the dark.
What?
I don't know.
No, hold on. I'm looking this up. Hang on. Platypuses glow in the dark, dude. Under ultraviolet light, giving their fur a bluish green hue. This really is a joke animal, man.
No, but they're not a joke. In 1991, Keith Payne, a former member of the Australian Armour and recipient of the Victoria Cross, Australia's highest award for valor, was struck on the hand by a platypus sperm while trying to rescue the stranded animal. He described the pain as worse than being struck by shrapnel. A month later, he was still experiencing pain in that hand. And in 2006, he still reported discomfort and stiffness when carrying out some physical activities. These things are not a joke.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, we're stopping this episode now, talking about platypuses for the rest of this episode.
Yeah, apparently we need to do a platypus podcast. The Pusscast.
The Pusscast.
Fuck, man. Keith, what's your next roguelike?
Oh, man. I gotta go back to that. Is there? No, there's no platypus in there. Atomicrops. Another one that we had done. And
I forgot about Atomicrops.
I bought the DLC 5 days before it left Game Pass, and I have not gone back and actually bought Atomicrops since, which is really a damn shame. But it is such a fun game.
Yes.
It's a farming game mixed with a twin stick shooter roguelike. And it's so you have like the whole run is based on going through 4 seasons of farming, and you have, I don't remember what it kind of labels them as, but you have like these 4 separate areas, north, south, east, and west, and you unlock them opening up the bridges with money that you get in the game. And it's just, there's like, in between the run, you go to this sort of overworld, and that's where you can buy new weapons and unlock perks and all of these things. And there's just weird elements, and it's so much fun. The music, like you were talking about it with I don't remember what game you said it was. You were talking about the music being awesome. Dicey Dungeons. The Atomicrops music is awesome. Like in the overworld, it has this sort of folksy like banjo music, and it's it's awesome. So
I love the
much fun.
boss battle theme where it's like,
yes, the boss battles.
Oh yeah, yeah. It has like weird gibberish, like singing vocals.
Dude.
Yeah, I love that.
By the way, really fun fact for everybody: the crow that's in the new SuperPod Saga cover art, it's heavily based off of the Orega crow. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you that. I was wondering that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really fucking good game. That I think it was on. So yeah, I played it on Game Pass like the day before it left Game Pass, and then it was on sale for like $2. So I was like, okay, I'll just fucking buy that and the Reap What You Crow DLC and all that stuff. And yeah, it was surprisingly really, really good. That game is awesome.
Yeah, I love the Atomicrops because it's like kind of tower defense-ish too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those.
Yeah, the veggies will help you fight the boss and stuff like that.
Yeah, you could get like turrets and like scarecrows.
Yeah. The different farmers play very uniquely.
Oh yeah. And
you can like get married.
Yeah, like it's actually, and it's not too hard of a game. I actually beat that game on maximum difficulty.
I did not.
It does get hard, but it wasn't like way brutal.
And the guns are really fucking cool too. Like there's just your machine guns, there's rifles, there's the leech gun, which I really fucking love. There's like super soaker type guns. There's like a fucking scythe you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game is awesome. And that animated intro to the game is really funny too. It's just like you inherited a farm, and then
oh yeah,
it does the generic of like
world of it makes fun of the farming simulator type of games, but it has this whole like different element of what you think you're getting into a game. It just never goes back to that.
Never mentions it again.
Oh, what about you, Andrew? What's your next one?
Right. So this next game, I feel like it's easily overlooked, but there's just one thing about it that is so good. So the game I'm mentioning is Despot's Games. This was on Game Pass. It already left, but it is once again an auto battler. You have a stick figure party. There's different weapons you can get, as they're leveling up. It's kind of like you're in a robot's Hunger game. So you kind of you pick your starter classes of like, do you want a group of the warrior class? So you have like 3 warriors, 2 guys with shields, 2 guys with swords, and like maybe a mage caster. And once again, if you're building like, if you have multiple warriors, they get an added perk. If you have 4 warriors on your team, they get extra health. And so you're just you're jumping through room to room. You're setting up your lineup how you want. You want your shield guys in the front, mages in the back, healers in the middle. Like you're kind of setting it up in different ways. There's also a way to like auto do it too. You got to feed your troops. So you got to make sure you get food, because if they start to get hungry, they obviously don't fight as well. But what makes Despot's Games so good, if anyone has played any roguelike, you always get that feeling of like, I am a god right now. This is awesome. There's no way I can lose. In Despot's Games, there's an actual leaderboard at the end. If you actually win the run, it actually puts your team against real people who have won with their teams. So it actually has like a ranking system. So it's really cool to see your team, your winning team, go against other people's winning team. And you can prove, no, my team legitimately was awesome. And like you actually can have a leaderboard of it. I loved that feature in it, and I don't understand why roguelikes don't do that more.
That is awesome. I was playing that a little bit. It's another one that I touched on while it was on Game Pass, which is it still, or
it's not on Game Pass anymore.
I was gonna say I knew it was leaving, but yeah, I never played as much of, and I wish I did now. Actually, the more you're talking about it.
Yeah, I just loved that feature of the leaderboard at the end, because then you can actually prove to your friends and stuff like, no, I had a sweet combo.
Speaking of games where you feel like an absolute fucking unstoppable god, the next one I had is Evolings, which still not a lot of people have played. Every time I bring this up, people think that I'm fucking crazy or something, but it's like a mix of Pokemon and Slay the Spire almost. Because like you'll
Well, that's a
start,
nice combo.
yeah, when you start your run, first off, when you start the game, you'll have a limited number of Evolings that they can pick and choose from. But when you start a run, you'll pick an Evoling, and then you'll go down the map, Slay the Spire style. You'll fight enemies, level up your power up your Evolings, I should say. Buy items from the store. You can hit up a slot machine to try to win more money or win a free Evoling or something. And there's all sorts of goofy stuff that can happen on the map. But the combat is all turn based. It's just like your Evolings will for sure attack first, and then the enemies go. And each Evoling has different attacks that they have by default. And I guess after a while, you don't pick up any more Evolings, but like you will pick up more Evolings as you go along. And you can, when you get like, I think it's like 3 of one Evoling, you can fuse them together to make one super powerful Evoling. Or if you get like 2 of one and then 1 of another, you can fuse them to make another powerful guy. Then they can become shiny, which doesn't do anything except make them look cool, just like in Pokemon. There's some wicked tough bosses to fight. There's all sorts of new. There are some Evolings, kind of like how in Pokemon Red, Yellow, and Blue there was a few Pokemon you can only get from the slot machine. There are some Evolings that you can only get from the slot machine. There's a lot of unlockables to this one too. There's different modes you can play through that add different abilities to the game. Like there's one that makes it so all of your items or relics or whatever are randomized each battle, so you never really know what the fuck to expect there. But yeah, it's $4 or $5 on Steam, $8 on Switch. It's really really fun.
How was that spelled? I was trying to find it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I couldn't find either.
So it's EVOLINGS.
Evo as an evolution.
Oh,
Yeah, my
that
bad.
makes sense.
Evolings. I was spelling it evil.
Yep, I was thinking Evolings. This okay. And with your explanation, just looking at the picture, this all makes way more sense.
Yeah,
it sounded fun, but I'm like trying to figure it out. And now, okay, yeah, I'm in. I'm in on this game. It's awesome.
Yeah, man. Like I said, $5 on Steam. It's like $8 on Switch. It's kind of worth it to buy the. I mean, let's see if a Steam Deck. It's kind of worth it to just buy the Switch version, so you can take it wherever. You can go on the toilet for like a good hour and a half and play Evolings there if you want. But otherwise, if you use the toilet at your desk, you could get it on Steam, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah, it's got that little intro of like spinning around the monsters as it goes into battle.
Yeah, dude.
Where have the calls been for Nintendo to sue them? They only want to come for Pal World.
Yeah, I know. Everyone went for Pal World, but no one went for Evolings. Come on.
I don't know. They've got some really like, I don't know how the fuck to explain. Like the Evolings are all like kind of basic, but like I don't know. Like there's one called Peppermint. He's really fucking cool. There's one called Blob. He's really cool. Cosmo. He's really awesome as well too. They're all
What about
cute
Wanda?
and cool and awesome. Wanda, that's all right.
Wanda sucks.
That's no Peppermint. Keith, go ahead with your. That was my last one.
We'll do our last ones here then.
Yeah, I mean, really, all I had on my list past this one was a reference for Children of Morta and then RoboQuest, which we've talked about already. So I don't have to go into those. But another one, I don't think it's on Game Pass anymore, but is Neon Abyss.
Nope, it's still there.
Oh,
I looked
is
it
it?
up. Yep,
That
still on
one,
Game Pass.
that one is. I don't know if I would say I love it, but it is a chunk of fun. It's another one that if I recall correctly, you can pretty much just keep stacking items. You only get one weapon at a time, but there's some pretty wacky weapons, and especially if you have like the right, set of items and stuff, it can just be a lot of fun. And it's one that it's very RNG based, but where it's a 2D platformer, you have these little like secret rooms and stuff that you can go into, and it's like if you don't get hurt, then you get the best reward that you can get, and it's pretty much always a very good weapon basically. Or if you get hit, I think just at all or 2 times or more, then you get just a little bit of health and that's it. But like all these other little Metroidvania type of things, if you build up enough keys and different things. But yeah, it's one that, again, it might not be one of my favorites I've ever played, but I have played a lot of hours out of it. And
Nice.
if you're looking for a 2D platformer type of game that's pretty forgiving, unlike say maybe Dead Cells, which I think they added it after you guys talked about it, but they have basically like God mode on Dead Cells now. So if you do want to beat the game without having to worry about the difficulty, you can pretty much turn on
Dead Cells is brutally hard.
Yeah, so you can actually turn on accessibility settings, which is another thing. Just as a really quick, and I'll make this my last like side topic. Accessibility in roguelike, I think, is really key. I try not to turn them on, but having those elements of accessibility that make them able to be beaten by anyone is just a huge element. So, anyways, yeah. Neon Abyss is a ton of fun, and especially if you're a Game Pass user, play it while you can. It's worth checking out.
And go ahead.
I was saying, can't you also collect like eggs to hatch little pets that give you cool passive abilities too?
Yeah, I still honestly, in all of the hours I've played, I don't quite understand how. Like, I think they can take damage, some of them, and there's weird elements like that. But yeah, you can have, I think, infinite amount of them as long as you keep collecting them. So yeah, you'll have a trail of like 30 of these little egg things following you at points. But there's elements of that, and like, I don't know, when you go back to the overworld, you're unlocking at least little story elements of different floors of this building. You're like in a club. I think ultimately you're trying to get up to Satan, runs the club, something weird like that. But anywho, yeah, it's a really fun and I would say pretty accessible without needing accessibility 2D platformer roguelike.
Nice, man. Yeah, it's a good pick.
All right. Then for my last pick, not on Game Pass, but it had some Game Pass kind of controversy with, but Cult of the Lamb. I remember when this game first came out, there was a big rumor that Sony paid the developers to not put it on Game Pass and this whole other stuff. But yeah, Cult of the Lamb, I've always been interested in this game because their Twitter account is so good. They blew up on Twitter because they did a whole meme of, hey, if this gets 100,000 likes, we'll add sex to the game. And if you see the game, it's super cutesy looking. It's just these adorable animals. I mean, you're obviously playing a lamb, but you're like possessed by a demonic spirit, and you're essentially like creating a cult, hence its name. But it has like a cool, interesting like base management. You got to feed your followers, sacrifice your followers, assign them to different jobs around the camp. And while you're going and doing dungeon runs and getting better weapons and trying to fight like these 4 prophets in order to free the demon that possessed you, it's such a wacky story, but it's very fun. I got sucked into it. It was on sale. I got it for like $12, and it's well worth it. They've done so many free good contents for it, and I'm just, every time I keep seeing their Twitter, like they just always have such a funny Twitter that I was just like, I gotta check this game out.
Dude, that is such a good one. I think I've beaten like 2 of the prophets. I think I spend most of my time on the cult management part.
Yeah,
like building
I
shit.
thought the cult management stuff would be super generic and like basic, but no, there's a lot of times where I'm sitting like an hour just like chopping trees and trying to build new hovels for my peasants, and it's just like, this is awesome.
Yeah, there's a ton of just tiny little elements like that, and it almost has that element of like you want to do different overall games. Like it doesn't have the full, I guess, roguelike of like independent runs. I don't know, because you can have 2 separate waves because of how you can build. What is it?
Yeah,
like your theologies and all of these things. I'm like, I don't know. It's a really cool game though. I had a lot of fun with it. I haven't played it in a while though. That's the only reason it didn't make my list.
Yeah, it's not crazy hard, but it's challenging enough, and it's just fun with these adorable animals like worshiping like demonic spirits. It's kind of weird.
It's got that cool diorama like art style too. It's
Yeah.
really, really awesome.
Hey,
It's
you can
like-
you can sacrifice them and turn them into like demons that fight alongside you when you go into battle
Yeah.
and stuff.
Feed them bowls of shit. That's
Yeah.
really cool too.
Or feed them grass. Yeah, and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
I love
bugs.
that. That'll always be like a villager request where they're like, yeah, they wanted you to feed like a bowl of shit to this one.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Or one wants to eat another follower, and it's like, all right, I guess I'm killing a follower for you. It's so weird.
I just said yes to all requests. It's like, it seems weird, but whatever.
And that's what like turned me out with this game, because their Twitter, that lamb is so cute looking. It's just like this cute bubbly face with like just a red cloak and a crown. And I'm just like, what is this game? And then you play it, it's like, whoa, this is wild.
Oh man, that's so good. Oh fuck. Well, yeah, that's it. That's all the best roguelikes. I guess quick shout out to Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon and Luck Be a Landlord. Those are pretty good. Luck Be a Landlord is like a slot machine deck builder. It's fucking insane.
Oh yeah, I was looking at that one. That looks cool.
Yeah, and that's on phones as well too. Plays just fine on phones. But yeah, once again, guys, where can people find you? Find your show and social medias and all that stuff.
We're GamePassGrabBag.com. Brings you to our Linktree or Linktree GBGB, where you find all our stuff, or Discord or Twitter. We're most active, I guess, on our Twitter and our Discord. But yeah, we have an episode come out every Wednesday wherever you find your podcast. So Spotify, Apple, I don't know, homing pigeons if you get those there. But yeah, we're just pretty much everywhere. We're always around.
Cassette tape.
Cassette tape.
Cassette
Yeah, we'll
tape,
mail you. We'll mail you an 8-track if you request it. We'll put our episodes there.
Yeah, we're available via Netflix if they still mail DVDs.
I miss those days. It was so exciting getting a brand new DVD.
Those were the good old days. Yeah, that's it for the show. Thank you guys for coming on. Sorry again for being a little bit late, but yeah, thank you guys for coming on the show. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you for having us. It's an honor.
Hell yeah. Then yeah, listeners, leave a review, rating, or whatever, or support the show on Patreon, all that stuff. Then go listen to Game Pass Grab Bag, and everybody say bye.
Bye.
See ya.